Welcome to this marathon part of WWE 2K18. We're going to have the Royal Rumble on a bit later, but first, have a women's match.
Nice. Oh, is this going to involve that match where I actually played against you? Or is that like part 10?
That's, it's a while away.
We got plenty of these. Hey, KFC. Snickers.
Oh, yeah, I just had KFC earlier.
Oh, nice. Did you get it crispy or extra crispy?
I had a bargain bucket. Ow, ow!
I don't think we have extra crispy.
Oh, I fucking hate this song.
Then why did you pick this wrestler then?
Because I felt narcissistic that day.
You
anyway,
were
yeah,
in love
Shiroi,
with yourself?
Turns out Shiroi hates this song too, so,
Yeah.
Come on, Shiroi, run faster!
What does being... Never mind.
Remember, Jova, every time a wrestler comes in, you hear his theme song. However, if the other wrestler interrupts his entrance points, the theme song will also be interrupted.
Oh, no, I get that. I'm just wondering. Dwibs said he was saying narcissistic when he picked this. Narcissistic means that he's in love with himself, though. So, you love yourself so much that you want to make yourself suffer?
Then.
Masochistic?
Yeah.
Dang, she must really hate her theme song that much.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Her previous theme song wasn't all that bad, so why did you change it for whatever the fuck Premode is?
In all due respect, female wrestling does seem to be taking off a lot more nowadays. Especially with the girl who bloodied up her own face, I forget her name.
Well, recently, WWE introduced a women's tag team championship.
Again with it. She's showing no mercy tonight. That acrobatic maneuver clearly caught her off guard. She might have it. There's no recovering from that. That almost came out of nowhere. This isn't good. I don't think Brie Bella knows where she is. With such authority. Here's her chance.
Anyway.
I forgot Dwibs. These games, up until this day, are still multi-platform, right?
Yeah.
Do they release on PC?
I can't remember.
Pretty sure they do, especially since back in the
day, they were back in the early 2000s. They were PS2 exclusive, but then starting with 2006, they started also making them for the Xbox, especially considering how bad the PS3 was doing at the time. But I don't recall ever seeing any of these games on PC, which is weird. You'd think they'd put them on PC to allow for max settings, which would be very useful for a game like this.
It might have been. I can't remember for sure.
Shiroi,
don't scare the ref.
Let me see.
Away from...
There's no rule against it.
Yes, there is. Not in this match, but there is.
But not in this match.
Yeah, exactly. You agreed with me.
Whack.
Another direct hit.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing like a few good old-fashioned chair shots. Oh man, she's rolling now. Hits it again. There may be no stopping her here tonight.
Don't get up. You know what's gonna happen. Well, actually, no, even if you don't get up, she'll still hit you with it.
Take it. Also, why did just slid several feet across the floor?
Yeah, here we go. I'm checking right now. Yeah, SmackDown vs. Raw was the PS2 exclusive. Oh, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 had a PSP version. I wasn't aware of this. 2007 was the first one to release on 360.
But damn, Shirai's fallen a bit.
And she can't get back up?
Oh,
never mind, she can.
Check this out, Dwibs. Starting with SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, they started releasing them on mobile. 2008 mobile games were not good. Just look at Sonic Unleashed.
But Pedro, don't you just love the chiptune-ish music on those kinds of phones?
Except there wasn't any music in mobile Sonic Unleashed, as Johnny pointed out in his review.
During the title screen there was, but other than that. Anyway, no great surprise. Shiroi retained the women's title.
It's wins like that that makes this girl such
Oh, okay, here we go.
to be reckoned with.
Well, when they changed the names to WWE, they kept to just PS3, 360, and Wii. So nothing here. No, and 2K, yeah, 2K19. Oh, never mind. Well, hold on. Holy crap, really?
Flaunting very much, aren't you, for the victory, Shiroi? You're flaunting for the victory, I see.
Great.
Okay, Dwibs, here's the basic chronology. WWE 2K16 released on PS3, PS4,
Royal
Xbox...
Rumble time.
Oh, goody.
The following contest is the Royal
This is what's going to take up the rest of the part, guys. So,
Well, it's a Royal Rumble. For those who are not familiar with what a Royal Rumble is,
they're explaining the rules.
At the
Oh, okay.
same time, other superstars will join in the order that they drew. This will continue until all 30 superstars have entered the ring.
30? So it's
Yeah,
a battle
it's a-
royale.
it's a one for all, Jova. It's a big shot. It's the big shot for the smaller wrestlers who don't get even they have a shot at this, and whoever wins the Royal Rumble gets a free title shot. So basically,
At WrestleMania.
at WrestleMania, which is basically, Jova, it's the Super Bowl of wrestling.
And introducing first, a wrestler who's not even in the company anymore.
So how do you fit 30 wrestlers into one ring, I wonder?
Well, technically you don't, Jova, because you don't just put 30 of them all at once. Instead, they start with 2. After that, a minute and a half passes, and another one goes in. And another minute and a half later, another one goes in, and so forth and so forth. And the last man standing wins.
It sounds like whoever's at the end of the line has the endurance advantage.
Exactly, Jova.
Yeah.
That's why before every Royal Rumble, they always have this tournament thingy where they compete to see which one gets the last places. And basically, the one who usually gets the 30th place spot is one who won some kind of tournament to win that right, basically, to get the advantage.
So pretty much he's kind of dedicated to the winner, unless, the person who's right before him wins.
Yeah, there have been cases of upsets though. There have been cases of the first guy to come in to actually win the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
So basically, Neville, who is no longer part of the company anymore, is a cruiserweight known for his cruiserweightiness. I don't really watch Neville.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of cruiserweights, here's another one who I have seen before. I just skipped the intro anyway. That was Hideo Itami.
Lovely.
Anyway, basically, here's the basic thing. The WWE 2K16 released on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. However, a year later, it released on PC, finally. 2K16 was the first one to finally have a PC release. And since then, they've all been released on PC. Well, actually, hold on. 2K17 released on PC also a year later. But starting with 2K18, they started releasing the PC version simultaneously with the other ones. So it took them to 2017 to finally start having a full-blown multi-plat release.
Were they afraid of the inevitable mods or something?
Probably, because wrestling games are ripe for mods, Joe. Because there's so much potential for mods with it.
Oh heck yeah! Have you guys heard of the video game tournaments where basically people have all these video game characters in the wrestling ring?
My guess is it got to a point where they were like, at this point we're just fighting the tide. Let's just start putting them on PC.
I mean, hey, just look at Soul Calibur 6. That thing is like customization glory to the point where even if you aren't on the PC version, you can practically make your favorite character from anything in that game.
So basically, I let the computer decide who's going to win this one.
Sure, that makes it fairer.
And I believe I have put 6 up Shiroi, in the match.
Alright then, let's see.
Yeah, there have been female entrants in Royal Rumble matches.
Yep.
In fact, it was only last year, 2018, where they introduced women's Royal Rumble matches. Basically, it's the same. It's exactly the same rules as the men's, just for a female title.
Well, yeah, it's exactly what the title implies.
Oh, here comes Deji.
Oh, Deji's the third one? God damn, poor Deji.
Oh, this is not going to end well for him.
Yeah, he's facing off against experienced, faster wrestlers.
Poor Deji.
Ow. Damn, Deji's not doing... Oh! He just got in and it's getting walloped.
Oh! He stays in. Well, not quite in, but at least he's staying on top. Oh, snap. So I gotta wonder, so who writes the episodes for Royal Rumble?
Well, the same... Well, there's a... WWE has a writing team.
Wow, Pedro. Wow, Pedro, you had a point about Deji, but damn, I don't think he'd be that short.
Wow.
True. Okay. Well, Jova, the WWE has a writing team who writes everything all by their own. Because the thing about WWE, Jova, is that everything is chronological and follows. Like, for example, the Royal Rumble. For example, the Royal Rumble, while being technically its own event, ties in chronologically with what's going on in the main shows. So basically, they have to have the same writing team for everything, obviously, for the sake of making everything consistent. They do technically have credits at the end, so but I've never bothered to actually read their names. But yeah, they basically have a writing team.
So I gotta wonder, so how do they choose who's gonna win the Rumble then?
Well, it depends. It depends on a lot of factors, Joe. But sometimes they'll just pick whoever's the most popular wrestler, to appease the fans. But other times, WWE knows that controversy, of course, is one of the big causes of revenue. So a lot of times they go out of their way to do the opposite just for the sake of or just to upset people, because a lot of times they like to intentionally go out of their way to be unpredictable with things. Or it depends on what the writers are.
Oh, you put me into 5. You put me into number 5, really?
Well, to be fair, Jova,
it's random.
It was randomized.
Oh,
so
this is not going to go well, is it?
You just drew the short. You and Deji just drew the shortest straws, I guess. What place am I in, Dwibs?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be funny if he comes right in after me?
Oh, Jova. Oh, he's just managed to hang on.
Right on his neck and back.
The basic formula is this.
You see, Jova, this is why you don't wrestle in a suit.
Hey, wrestling in a suit has nothing to do with it. Maybe if... Oh, you have this set of computers only.
I don't know, Joe, but Vince McMahon makes it look easy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, normally he just puts on loose clothing when he wrestles.
Has he actually wrestled in a business suit, I wonder?
I'm pretty sure there were a couple times where he, at the very least, give one wrestling move or two.
Nice.
With it.
Oh, Joe was starting to build up a head of steam.
That's what we call a turnabout.
The basic gist of it, Shiroi, is that normal tap-outs don't work in this particular type of match. You just have to throw your opponent out of the ring.
Okay.
Yeah, basically you have to throw your opponent over the top rope. Both feet must touch the ground.
Yeah, both feet must touch the ground, and he must go over the top rope. Going under the top rope doesn't. So under the top rope.
So basically, if you can basically hop your way back into the match if you can.
Yeah, if you can technically leave the ring as long as you don't leave over the top rope. However, of course, there's the usual rule that if you spend more than 10 seconds outside of the ring, you'll be disqualified and you'll...
Actually, the only way you can be eliminated is if you're thrown over the top rope.
I can just imagine an episode of Royal Rumble where all 30 of these guys have to memorize the script and how they're planning to go in or out.
That's one of those primary things that people don't give credit to wrestlers. They just assume, oh, it's fake, so clearly there's no craft and there's no effort being put. You're clearly not thinking about things. Can you imagine?
Oh, I won. Oh wait, no, I don't get it.
Joe, you haven't won yet. There's like 24 other people left.
No, I meant I won that last match though.
No, he means Dwibs that he eliminated that opponent. That's what it means.
Oh, so basically the way it goes is like, well, if you don't manage to eliminate the guy who came in after you, you lose.
No,
Jova. You just have, as long as you don't get thrown off the top rope, you're fine.
Oh, so then basically it's every man for himself in the ring as they enter.
It's every man for. Remember, Jova, the last man standing gets a title shot. So yes, it is all man for.
Oh snap! So basically, if you don't eliminate someone in a certain time, then that ring's gonna get full.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where all 30 players have been in still?
I don't think there has been one where they managed to, well, 30 of them managed to survive up until but there have been times where the first one to come in did go on to win the whole thing, but not to the point where there were 30 of them on the floor. There have been 20.
If all 30 people were in the ring, no one would be able to move.
But Dwibs, that would be writing genius. What would they do then? Everyone would be wondering.
I don't know, someone will probably just leave before he lost oxygen or something.
But yeah, like I was saying, yeah, that's another thing that people need to realize about these things. Like, you have to think about this for a moment. Can you imagine how hard it is for all these guys to memorize in very specifically what they're supposed to do according to the script that was told to them?
Yeah.
Because remember, it's one thing to go into a theater play and It's one thing to go into a movie or a theater play and recite lines of dialogue, that's fine, but you have to...
Jova eliminated somebody!
So Jova is left all alone on the ring.
Dang!
5 seconds.
Alright, Jova, now if you can manage to eliminate them as they come, you should have a smooth sailing. So let's see, Harper is next.
Just up to number 7.
Alright, see if you can eliminate this guy under a minute and a half before the next guy comes in. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a lot of rehearsal involved. And they have to prepare themselves so they can do the moves exactly as it was pre-planned. And of course, there's always the danger of injury, because if you don't, like they themselves say in the disclaimer, the moves that these guys perform on the ring take years of perfecting and to do safely.
Yeah.
If they make a mistake, they might genuinely hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, is there a version of wrestling that isn't scripted though? I mean, I guess that's sort of
amateur wrestling.
Amateur wrestling. It's the Olympic version, the actual real Olympic Games version of wrestling.
Yeah, the version that no one ever pays mind to, as South Park showed us.
Not to the fault of the sport itself. It's just a matter that
everyone knows this kind of wrestling better.
Like, no, even Kurt Angle, who was an actual amateur wrestler who won a gold medal for America, even went on to become a professional wrestler at WWE himself anyway. So
it's ironic how they call this one professional wrestling, whereas actual the wrestling that's not scripted is called amateur wrestling. Huh?
It is a bit weird, yeah. Well, to be fair, they themselves flat out say sports entertainment as well, so they do admit that this is just entertainment.
Sure, yeah. Oh snap!
I think the problem is that there's not enough. I think it also has a problem not so much with WWE. It's more so the fact that the people in charge of the actual amateur wrestling events don't promote them enough. That's the problem as well. Like there's no push for it. People don't try. Maybe if they tried promoting it a bit more, people would be more aware of it.
That actually is a good point.
4, 3, 2.
Oh, there's Pedro.
All right, so it's okay. Hold on, but you didn't eliminate him though. Like
which means it's a free for all.
Jova, stop bragging.
Yeah, Joe. Well, I guess I'll just.
Not sure what happened there. Oh snap!
So all three of us really drew the shortest straws. We didn't even make it past the first 10.
I know, right? Hey, double points if we somehow. Oh snap!
Yeah, next snap.
Yeah, I can imagine that would take a lot of practice to do without actually hurting someone.
Oh! And Pedro probably broke his neck. Oh. No finishing move for you, Jova.
Oh snap! Pedro!
Yeah, go ahead, Pedro. Stand up. Whoa. Oh.
Well, I had a good run.
What, 30 seconds?
How long have I been in so far?
I mean, that's 30 more than nothing.
Wait, what?
And Jova's out.
Wait,
Jova's
what? How did that just...
You were thrown over the top rope, Jova.
Yeah, I get that, but I was running right into it. Fandango? What is the movie website Fandango doing here?
Fandango's a dancer.
Okay.
A lot of times, Jova, WWE recruits actual real athletes to join their ranks.
That makes sense, No,
I meant his gimmick is...
Oh, it's his gimmick.
yeah. Wrestlers have gimmicks of wrestling are like apples and bananas.
Yeah.
It's for the sake of making them like adding to the character and making them a bit more distinct from the others. Like for example, John Cena of course has the rap thing. The Kurt Angle had the whole I'm an actual real amateur wrestling thing, and even to give you an idea, Joe, but he always wore his Olympic gold medal to when he was walking to the ring.
So okay, so John Cena's thing was basically I'm an amateur wrestler and you guys are doing it all wrong.
No, you're mistaken things. John Cena was never an amateur wrestler. He was.
Kurt Angle was the amateur wrestler.
Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is the guy, I don't know if you're familiar, the guy that always came in and everybody in the crowd was always going, "You suck."
Because he's an amateur wrestler?
Not so much that shows, because he was heel for a while, as in he was a bad guy in the storyline
at one point.
Okay. And there was a thing where someone provoked the whole thing of making fun of his theme song by having the crowd saying, "You
Next
suck."
up is AJ Styles. Recently, AJ Styles held the WWE Championship for almost a full year.
Did he now?
He lost it to Daniel Bryan.
So, I wonder when you're up, Dwibs.
I think I'm a champion, so...
Oh, really?
World champions aren't in the Royal Rumble match.
Why is that?
Because they're already at the top. Why would they need to enter the Royal Rumble to get a shot at the top if they are top?
So how are you a champion but we aren't?
Because you suck.
I see.
Because you suck at it.
Chova, you lost the United States title to a Canadian.
Yes, but that was while I was being played by you.
Excuses.
Well, I didn't have the controller in my hands.
And there goes AJ Styles.
Wow. Comes in, goes right out.
Yep.
All right, here's the next
champion
one.
for a year, gets tossed out.
Bret Hart for 97.
Oh, the Hitman.
Basically, this is a wrestling legend, which is why it said 97 there. Basically, he was a wrestler who was still active in 1997, but is no longer active because he's retired. But he's a legend of the WWE, basically.
So essentially, when you get down to it, this is in an alternate reality where wrestlers from all times and age are suddenly in their prime again.
This has been a thing since the first couple of wrestling games, where they always have the iconic legends like Hulk Hogan.
It makes sense, for them to have a Legends series. That's what a lot of sports games tend to do.
Mm-hmm. They even have sometimes variations, kind of like how Dragon Ball Z games tend to have different versions of Goku. Yeah. Sometimes the wrestling game will have classic Hulk Hogan from the 80s, but at the same time he'll have an older Hulk Hogan from the early 2000s, from back when he made a cameo appearance here and there.
Well, remember, Pedro, Hulk Hogan was a WWE champion as recent as 2002.
Well, yeah.
Which is a little surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's got all that experience and he's losing to a dancer.
I think the problem, Dwibs, is that even he back in the 80s wasn't nearly as forced into people as John Cena has been. Honestly, that's the problem.
Well,
John Cena seems like a nice guy, but holy cow,
John Cena's a nice guy as a person. I have nothing against him as a person.
The meme got overran.
It's not so much. Well, I guess that too, yes. But my bigger problem with John Cena is that he's never, as a wrestler, not as a person, as a wrestler. As a wrestler, he's never really been all that fascinating to watch, because most of his moves are very generic, and a lot of times his performances were just basically get pummeled by the opponent, only for the last moment to suddenly go ape shit, do his finisher, and win all of a sudden. It was always like that.
Oh, I get it. So he's kind of like, your typical hero where all his enemies have all these different gimmicks, but in the end he comes out triumphant. That kind of
Tyler Breeze. Basically, Tyler Breeze's gimmick is that he's a narcissist, always coming down to the ring, looking at his reflection with his camera.
Obviously, that's a common thing for the heel wants to have an ego. But yeah, it's like you said, Joe. But the problem is that WWE milked that so hard for so much, for so long.
That sounds like it could go good for one season. How long did it go for?
Years.
Seriously?
Over a decade.
Wait, seriously? Over a decade? So
Even okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Dwibs is. Are they still having John Cena be champion all the time, Dwibs? To this day? Oh, fine. Thank God, Jesus.
So let me get this straight. So they have one guy be champion for all those years?
That's because Cena's doing Hollywood stuff now, and WWE is trying to get a new.
Yeah, new Cena. Well, that's the thing, Jova. Like, and don't get me wrong, I realized that John Cena was very popular back in the day, especially with the kids. So obviously they're going to push him into the forefront as much as they can for the sake of selling merchandise and all that stuff.
But the
problem is that
they overdid it.
They to the point where there were so many wrestlers who deserved a shot in the spotlight as well, and they were denied constantly.
This is exactly what Bret Hart was waiting for.
So so if he was like the one champion, I'm guessing that you've kind of felt like you had to go to other channels then if he was for that long.
Well, not necessarily, Joe, because WWE actually has two shows. They have Raw and they have SmackDown. So
on the main shows anyway.
Yeah. So technically they have two champions, Joe, the World Heavyweight Champion and the WWE Champion. So technically, if you don't like one champion, you can follow the other show.
Well, it's not World Heavyweight title anymore. Now they've got something called the Universal title.
Whatever, same thing, different name. But yeah, see the thing, the problem, Jova, is that much like you know how Disney keeps buying companies, Jova? WWE is basically the Disney of wrestling, to the point where they actually bought their main competitor, WCW. So
that was more so because WCW was just flat out crap during their last couple of years.
That too, yeah. But basically, Jova, WCW got bought by WWE, their main competitor, and as a result, WWE literally had no competition anymore, and they basically...
So another hostile takeover, basically.
So as a result, Jova, WWE was left without a competitor. So in order to resolve that problem, Vince McMahon decided to create inner competition. In the sense that they have two shows competing against each other.
Let's start infighting.
Sounds like fun.
2, 1.
Brian Kendrick, eh?
No. The Brian Kendrick.
Do tell me about the Brian Kendrick.
Basically, he's the Mark. What was his name, Dwibs?
Mark Regent.
He seems to be fighting Mark. Jason Momoa.
The Brian Kendrick, up till recently when he turned face, he was just a prick.
For those who don't know, face means a good guy and heel means a bad guy in wrestling.
There are in-betweens too.
I gotta wonder, whenever you had stuff like your heel face turn or your face heel turn, did those happen like, in episode, or did those happen like, outside of the episodes? Really?
They happen a lot of. There's sometimes, for example, Jova, where two friends will maybe be friends, but then the other one maybe wins a title, and the other one becomes jealous, and you probably can guess where things go from there.
There's all sorts of reasons. I mean, one of the more successful heel turns recently was with Daniel Bryan. He was out of the ring for 2 years. He returned back in 2018, and basically up till like November, his gimmick was just basically Daniel Bryan's greatest hits.
In fact, let me check so I can give
now. How long? Now his gimmick is an arsehole environmentalist.
So he became a heel?
Yeah.
So I gotta wonder though. Yeah, of course, face heel turns are easy, but I gotta wonder, how does one turn from a heel into a face?
It depends on the kind of I remember one in particular. Was the Kurt Angle one back in the mid-2000s, where it got basically Kurt Angle was starting to be an asshole to people who were even bigger assholes than him, and literally reversed his "you suck" meme by going, and by the way, when I go out to the ring to face you, people are gonna chant "you suck," but they're not gonna aim it at me. They're gonna point at you at how much you suck, and the crowd generally went with it.
And that's how he became a face.
Yes, and he became a face because of it. A lot of times the WWE knows how to use the crowd in their favor.
Oh yeah, no way, Jose. He does the conga line to the ring. That's it.
Ow.
No, what are you doing? There aren't any pins.
Oh.
And yes, Jova, like South Park did in the parody. No. And yes, Jova, like South Park did like to parody that aspect as well. There's also the occasional bits where a wrestler steals another wrestler's woman.
Oh, speaking of John Cena.
Oh, there he is.
You won't see him coming.
All right, let me see it. Let me check again. For how long was he?
But John Cena now.
All right, the Doctor of Thugonomics. Remember that, Dwibs? The Doctor of Thugonomics.
I wasn't watching. I wasn't watching at the time.
Oh, really?
Although nowadays Cena has a pretty weird haircut.
Yeah. So there's a doctor involved. I'm curious.
No, he means doc as in hip hop / rap doc. You know,
Ow. Ow.
And yeah, there goes Cena.
Out goes John Cena.
Guess he didn't have his writing immunity this time.
Well, no, he hasn't really been all that prevalent on WWE recently.
Yeah, here you go, Joe. I'm checking Wikipedia right now.
I know.
He was WWE champion between 2005 and 2007. And all that stuff, and after that it says here world heavyweight, and then he gained the other major title, world heavyweight champion, between 2008 and 2010. Then then there was a storyline at the Nexus. Was he still champion back in 2011, Dwibs?
A bit. I think his last title was in like 2017.
Yeah. Yeah, he
and even then, I don't think it was like the big title. I think it was like the US.
Oh yeah, here it is. Record-breaking WWE champion. It says right here, Cena return and all that stuff. So he was once again the WWE champion between 2013 and 2015. And then the United States champion again between 2015 and 2016. They kept giving him belts, basically. That's the basic gist.
Although the US title isn't their big one, so I guess he went down a bit on the pecking order.
True, but remember he was already the US champion at one point before being beaten by Carlo Caribbean Cool of all people.
In his own town.
Not today.
That could probably be described as the night Boston went silent. He's not from Boston exactly. He was from another place in Massachusetts, but still.
This one's over, guys. Nice job.
And so long, the Brian Kendrick. Well, when Rhino grows a brain and throws him out the ring.
Any minute now.
So yeah, the basic gist of it is that John Cena kept being shoved into the spotlight way too much for way too long.
See, that's exactly what happens when you don't just throw him out the ring. And here comes the new attempt at John Cena, although I'd argue worse.
Who?
Roman Reigns. So basically, WWE's been trying to make Roman Reigns to the new John Cena. The problem is, okay, again, nothing against the guy personally, but he has less charisma. His wrestling style's not particularly all that exciting.
So he's like John Cena. I guess they're doing it well.
Actually, the page, at least John Cena has charisma.
Sure. Yeah.
As a wrestler, he honestly, I would argue he had at the beginning, but as the years went on, it just kind of got old. Honestly, even his own, even what made him charismatic back then, it ran out. If you ask me, honestly. The whole
You
what
can't
was it?
see me. His name is John Cena.
That too, but there was also those 3 words. What were those 3 words, Dwibs, that you always saw?
Never give up.
No. He had
Hustle,
those...
loyalty, respect.
That's it. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. Basically, Jova, he was basically the goody two-shoes for a long time, and people started getting tired of it, of him constantly spouting morals on us.
And Rhino broke his back.
Oh well.
3, 2,
Nick
1.
Miller.
I don't know if he's in the company anymore.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay, Shane Thorne and Nick Miller were a tag team at one point, and in WWE's development brand NXT, which has been widely considered the best thing WWE's doing right now.
Talk about a great escape.
Basically, NXT is where people go to hone their craft before they go up to the main roster. Although more so nowadays is being praised for its high quality of storylines and matches.
Right.
And it's the one run by Triple H, so maybe that explains it.
AKA a wrestler who married Vince McMahon's daughter, and as a result is going to inherit the empire. Basically.
Well, because Vince is trying to get his is trying again with a football league.
Yeah. He's going to try a different thing.
He's going to try and compete with the NFL.
Good luck with that.
Well, yeah, remember he tried that like 18 years ago. Look how well that turned out.
Yeah.
But don't worry, guys. It's totally different now. It's not so much involved with WWE anymore.
Well, Triple H is running. Well, Triple H is now running things, so.
Well, again, it's only NXT and a cruiserweight show called 205 Live. The rest is run by Vince.
Oh, okay. All right, who's next?
He is a one-man gang in there. We're about to get another one. A clubbing clothesline.
Oh boy, Chris Jericho.
Yep.
Let me guess,
My
the
guy.
wall.
Y2K.
Y2J.
Yeah, 2J. Sorry, you're right there.
Yeah, aka the guy Dover attacked from behind for no reason.
What's he gonna do now?
Well, it's Chris Jericho. Dwibs. He kind of does that.
No, I meant Dover attacked him from behind. I guess maybe to give him a taste of his own medicine.
I guess.
Oh
So,
snap!
Why are you taking it out on Jericho though?
Yeah, why, dude?
Actually, I was telling that to you. You were
Well,
the one who...
Well, don't look
You
at
were
me.
the one
Dwibs
who-
was the one controlling me for that one.
Actually, no, it wasn't. It was an AI
Thomas,
thing. But whatever. No.
Stop blaming your deficiencies on mind control.
No, not mind control. PlayStation control.
Same thing.
He's probably dreamed of main eventing WrestleMania. Given how he looks right now, though, he might just have to keep dreaming.
So, Shiroi, anything to say about the sausage fest going on?
Not really.
Well, there's like, don't worry, Shuri. There's only 9 other people left.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
so
we
for-
have been kind of burning through some of them.
It depends, Jova. Like this particular Royal Rumble, yeah, this is clearly one of those where they've been basically spamming through them. But it depends on the actual. Most of the time, the writers specifically order for it at the very least to be at the very least 10 at one point on screen, just for the sake of adding to the chaos, because that's always fun, of course.
Yeah, I
And
thought
it's,
so.
ladies and gentlemen, The Miz, aka the recent star of WWE's direct-to-DVD action series, The Marine.
Oh,
Yeah,
they have a
basically-
direct-to-DVD. Why am I not surprised?
Yes, like I told you, Jova, they're the Disney of wrestling. They buy their competition. They make direct. They have multiple franchises.
Is
even
this like that?
direct-to-video ones.
Is this like that battle royale sort of movie where they made about the people who are on island and have to escape, even though they have bracelets tied to their legs that will blow up?
Although recently, WWE released a film called Fighting With My Family, which was a theatrical release, a wide one even,
Yeah,
and it was actually a good film.
They're trying
I've
to
heard good
also
about that.
they're also trying to go into movies as well. Yeah.
And it's from Stephen Merchant, of all people. I didn't think he was into wrestling. Basically, Stephen Merchant was one of the co-creators of the British office.
Ah.
And I think he co-wrote an episode of the American one and directed one of them.
That would not surprise me, especially since we had guest stars in the British version show up sometimes.
Mostly, I think it was just Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Whack. Yeah, I probably should just turn the commentary off so it's just us.
Nah.
I'm guessing Jericho's a heel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time he had like a long time ago. You could occasionally be a face, but most of the time he's usually heel. Especially, he's much better as a heel anyway. So yeah.
There's various different kinds of heels. Most of the time he's just a really cocky, show-offy heel. But there was a run during 2008 till 2010 where he was basically a heel who was completely stoic and serious.
Really? That doesn't sound like Jericho from what you've told me.
But it was actually a rather well done heel run.
It depends on.
He arguably had 2008's best feud against Shawn Michaels.
Think of it like in a comic book fashion, Jova, where as different as the writing team changes, as new staff comes in, they occasionally like to put new spins on characters.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Big Cass, he's not in the company anymore either, by the way. Yeah, that's a figure. It's been so long. At the times we take to record the audios for these parts are so long, some of the wrestlers aren't even in the company anymore.
Chris Jericho finds himself in a tough spot. He needs to find a way to get on the offensive, guys.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get picked off here soon. He's just not looking very good right now.
Well, he's certainly looking a little worse.
I'll never get this thing of, naming games not the year that they were actually released.
It's because of the season, like as in they call it 20. For example, let's say FIFA 17. For example, the reason FIFA 17 is called FIFA 17, even though it came out in 2016, is because it's the 2016-2017 season, as in it starts in 2016 but ends in 2017. So they call it 2017 to signify the end of the season.
So what about ones where the season actually does start the same year, though? Like, okay, I didn't know wrestling had a season.
They do.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Of course it does.
It starts every. Is it still afterwards? Is WrestleMania still at the end of March?
Yeah. No. April.
Okay. So basically, Joe, it all starts at the beginning of May, after WrestleMania, where we have a whole new year and all that stuff, and then eventually everything that's been going on throughout that season ends at the end of April of the following year at WrestleMania, which is basically the Super Bowl of the company, where everything culminates into a climax, and then after that we start new stuff. Or maybe even have some rematches. It depends on the storyline that's going on. But yeah, there is technically a season to it, basically.
So is WWE one of those cases where the game's released before the season starts?
Yeah, I guess you can say that.
Although there's no such thing as an off season in WWE.
So So then, in that case, why do they have to name these ones after the years then if there's no off-season?
Because it's easier to remember.
I guess.
I guess it's just because, Jova, it's a common thing in sports games to have because this is how sports games are usually named, so they're just going with what.
And I was going to describe Seth Rollins, but he's eliminated now. So Seth Rollins, I know I can describe him actually. His nickname is the Architect, and yet his catchphrase is "Burn it down."
Huh.
This match is to determine the number.
That's been made fun of a couple of occasions during WWE shows.
I'm guessing that's one of the ones where they didn't think it through properly.
They just kind of rolled with it.
Sounds like meme magic.
Terrific reversal by Chris Jericho.
So is the Architect gonna tear down the wall that is Jericho?
But no, he's eliminated.
I know, I was just thinking up a tagline.
Bit late for that now, though, Jova.
Well, it was a bit late for the description now, wasn't it?
I was going to, but, well, never mind. Anyway,
Oh
time
snap!
for the next one.
Looks like the wall's about to come tumbling down!
Connor.
Yes, Connor with the K.
This is one, again, I don't really know a whole lot about.
Is he a new guy, I'm guessing?
Relatively.
There you go.
Looks like we might get an elimination, guys.
There we go.
There's the elimination.
And now you.
And there you go.
Big Cass has been
You know, yeah.
eliminated.
If Big Cass were a few inches shorter, he'd have.
I'm wondering, Dwibs. So, Dwibs, what is your place actually? When do you come in?
I don't come in.
Oh, you didn't put yourself in? Why?
I'm a champion. I don't need to enter this pleb.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Oh,
forgot.
so you're an elitist.
Well,
Yeah.
well, remember, Shiroi. The point
Sure,
of the
he's
Royal
British,
Rumble-
of course he's an elitist.
Well, remember, Shiroi. The point of the Royal Rumble is that the winner gets a shot at the championship. If Dwibs is the champion, then why would he need to be in the Royal Rumble?
Whoa, missed by a large margin
I
there.
guess.
Wouldn't a true British gentleman step down to actually prove himself?
As if.
Figures.
Honestly, Jova, that's like if the current Wimbledon champion went about challenging every tennis, putting his title on the line at every match he has. I mean, there's being brave, and then there's just being dumb. There's a very thin line between bravery and stupidity, and it's a very fine line.
Especially
It is
in
a
wrestling.
Very thin line.
I've heard a similar saying, sometimes the worst people to have are people who are enthusiastic and energetic, but dumb.
And
guess
there goes Jericho.
All right, so Connor is now all alone. Let's
You
see
know, it's a
who's-
shame that they didn't have someone called Joshua take him down, actually. That would have just helped the theming all the more.
Bray Wyatt, his gimmick is that he's spooky.
Seriously.
Wait, this gimmick that he's spooky, but don't we already have the Undertaker for that?
Well, the Undertaker's getting on a bit, isn't he?
Wait,
guess,
The Undertaker's still in the
They need a
game?
replacement, kinda.
It's
Sort of.
extremely rare though now, Joe.
Well, the thing about the Undertaker, Joe, is that at this point, does he still have his usual WrestleMania match, Dwibs?
Last year he had an impromptu one.
Isn't he a bit old for this?
He is, Jova. However, it depends as well, because a lot of Hulk Hogan, even back when he was old, he was still. Oh, back when he was old. He's still.
Oh,
well,
you
okay,
know who we beat last year at WrestleMania?
Who?
John Cena.
Really?
I would have looked. I have to check that out then.
Actually, Paige, that match barely lasted a minute.
So he beat him that quickly?
All the better then, Dwibs. Those are always the most humiliating matches for the loser.
I'll say.
And Kurt
2001 Kurt Angle. Okay. There you
guess
go,
it
Joe. This
just
is the guy.
goes-
There you go, Joe. This is the guy we were talking about. This is the actual American amateur wrestler who actually won a gold medal in amateur wrestling for the U.S. But then shortly after, he went on to become a professional wrestler himself.
So, although I doubt he's even a good first impression.
And one of his primary gimmicks was, of course, the fact that he was always boasting about his gold medal. See, unlike you guys, I actually have a gold medal.
So, Jovi, you impressed by Kurt Angle so far?
I guess so.
Not well. So far, he's just getting his ass kicked. So I'm assuming no. There you go. What was I saying?
What? What was that?
Well, remember, Dwibs. He's an he has his roots in amateur wrestling. So obviously, some of his moves are gonna reflect that.
No, it just was a move just then. It didn't even look like a move, but it knocked him down anyway.
I guess he's being a dick.
Anyway, what was I saying?
Hey, 7.
Entrant 28 on the way.
1. Kalisto. Okay, this must be a new guy as well. No, but it usually. Oh, he looks like Rey Mysterio a bit.
Although Rey Mysterio has recently returned to the WWE.
Oh, cool.
And he's still as agile as ever, even though he's like 40 now.
Well, he's Rey Mysterio.
He wears a mask, huh?
Yes, Rey Mysterio. Is he actually Mexican, dudes? I forgot if he's actually if the actor is indeed.
If he's not Mexican, he is at least of Hispanic descent.
Yeah. Basically, Joe, but the gimmick with Rey Mysterio is that unlike most wrestlers, he's short, but he makes up in his short stature and
by being athletic and
by being athletic and incredibly agile. Like he would do some really impressive, visually impressive moves on the ring back in the day.
You know, I haven't seen the whole mask thing worn by wrestlers in a while, actually.
That's mostly for luchadors.
Yeah, the whole mask thing is mostly for Latino wrestlers and Rey Mysterio. Like it's mostly the Latino ones that wear masks because that's their thing.
So. Mexican wrestling has a lot of. Mexican wrestling and masks are very important, to the point where there are several matches where if you lose, you must unmask and not put a mask on ever again, forever.
I'm almost surprised WWE hasn't taken on a moniker for luchador.
Oh, they have done that sometimes.
Really? Specifically with the masks, too.
Cedric Alexander, who recently, or in 2018, was a long-running cruiserweight champion on 205 Live.
Let me see if I can find the visual. Fixed one. Good.
So who's number 30 gonna be? Place your bets, guys. Who's gonna be number 30? Already had John Cena.
I don't know. I know Hulk Hogan.
At this point, Jova, Hulk Hogan was pretty much ostracized from WWE for.
Yeah, he's no longer even showing up in the video games because you know those racist comments he made.
Oh.
So basically, WWE.
Although he has made a couple of brief appearances here and there now.
Maybe they'll have the.
Months.
I know. Maybe the Ultimate Warrior will show up.
He's been dead for 5 years, Joe.
Unfortunately, he's passed away.
Wait, does being dead stop you from being in one of these games?
Well, no. But, well, okay, true. I think he's only talking about the video games themselves, Dwibs, so it's fine. Yeah, I guess, sure. We can have him as one of the legends, yes. Obviously. Do they still put Andre the Giant in these games, Dwibs?
Oh, yeah, they do. Maybe it is him.
Who's number 30?
Let's see.
McMahon?
Yep, Vince put himself in the match.
Yeah,
how did you get it so that he would be the last one?
That actually makes sense. It was just luck, Joe, but it was a nice accident.
I know, right? I mean, that seems like it would fit. The very father of WWE himself.
Okay.
I'm trying to find.
If you let me win or you're fired.
Oh boy. Wow.
And nope, well, that didn't last long.
What a climactic
that was
finish.
about a minute.
Oh, I think
So, yeah, in our final couple of parts, Cedric Alexander will be competing for a major world title.
Huh. Power to the people, I guess.
Alright, I guess I'll just use this one.
Yay! Yeah, that's another thing they do a lot. Pointing at the WrestleMania sign. Alright, so we'll continue on the road to WrestleMania in the next part. So we'll see you then.
See ya.
Yep.
See ya.